On to you breakfast. It's Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk.
Does it stop?
No, it doesn't stop. Doesn't stop. How are you?
So at the end of the segment we can turn it back on and it's just still going.
If you want to hear that again, you want to hear that?
On to you breakfast. It's Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk.
I think you're having too much fun is the problem, Richard.
Far too much fun. 30 years since the mobile phone network was turned on in Dubbo.
Yeah, a little bit different now, the way it looks, the way it acts, the whole network.
Yeah, but do we get anything different?
Well, we get it in more places, but the reception used
like
to
a
go.
rash.
Well, the
I get
reception.
it in more places now.
Good. Stop showing me. But the reception used to go further back in the old analog days.
Why?
Well, the analog system was different to the digital
So
system.
you know what we did? Bright government said, let's rip out all the hard lines.
Well-
How unintelligent is that?
Well, there's been some changes in what's happened over that time. In fact, I wasn't a big fan of the original digital network at the time that it was introduced. That was in the early 90s, about 93 that was introduced, because they took a European system. GSM was a European system.
GSM?
A global system for mobiles. Right. So the original system was AMPS, Advanced Mobile Phone System. Most people call it analog. But the digital system was designed in Europe. We had lots of countries close together. They wanted to limit how far it went, and security was the number one issue. So they introduced that in Australia, where we don't really have another country right on our doorstep, and we want distance and security wasn't that big an issue.
Yeah.
So
We
it
want to
seemed,
be able to make a phone call from Dubbo to Kalgoorlie.
well, we can make that from Dubbo to Kalgoorlie, but it's when you're driving in between that becomes a bit of the
Well,
issue.
no, 10 k's out of Dubbo, you're done.
Yeah, and so that's still the issue with the old analog system. The GSM, I think, wasn't a good move at the time, but having said that, it was a global system, and that's the system that the world adopted. So at least it meant if you were anywhere in the world, you had the same mobile phone. And a bit like left-hand and right-hand drive cars, if we still had our old analog system now, we'd find it very hard to get many phone models because manufacturers wouldn't want to manufacture for such a small market here in Australia. If we were all on alone across the world, at least with GSM, all the phones are at least to go across the world.
Mathew Dickerson, are to blame for getting Dubbo on the map first with this gadget stuff, weren't you?
Well, I
remember
was
you sitting here with me all those years ago and saying you're pushing for Dubbo to become one of the first areas to adopt this NBN.
certainly NBN pushed very hard for that, and lucky enough, Alan Smith was mayor at the time, and lucky enough to work in with Alan and go and sit down with Stephen Conroy, sit down with his advisors, work hard with NBN. There was a lot of work done behind the scenes there to get Dubbo ahead of the curve. Probably the main thing that we got out of that, the main advantage we got out of that now, is that we've got 4/7 of Dubbo fibre to the premises. Unfortunately, 3/7 missed out and got fibre to the node, but everywhere that was rolled out post Dubbo has all been rolled out all fibre to the node, and that's certainly a significantly lesser communication tool.
Okay, let's spread our wings, Matt, and go outside the town. Is the communication outside of Dubbo any better than it was 30 years ago on this wonderful gizmo that we float around with our mobile phones? Is it any better?
Well, it is better to the extent that we've got more towers, so more places have got reception. So when Dubbo was turned on, 26th of July 1990,
26 July 1990.
26th of July 1990, I was lucky enough to connect the first phone in Dubbo, the prefixes that were assigned for
Did you put
Dubbo.
the thing in the right hole?
It wasn't even SIM cards back in those days. You had a serial number, an ESN that you connected with a phone. And so Dubbo was live, but of course Narromine wasn't, and Canamble wasn't, and Burke wasn't. So all the locations around Dubbo weren't live. So to that extent, we've certainly gone ahead because those places are live. But there are people who remember when they had analog, when analog came to their town, they used to be able to get it X number of kilometres out of town. And they're the people that say now, I remember when I could get it and I can't anymore. CDMA was a good bridging technology. So CDMA was introduced in 1999. And it was
21 years ago.
Yeah, it was specifically introduced so that the bridge between analog and digital could be met. In other words, Telstra they changed it to Telecom by that time, had to guarantee that all the people that had analog reception would get digital reception. They couldn't do that at the time, so CDMA was this bridging technology that came along. It only lasted for 9 years, so it only went from 1999 to 2008 before it was switched off. But it meant that analog could be switched off in 2001. So it had about a 14-year lifetime. It turned on in 87, took 3 years to come to Dubbo, but then turned off in 2001.
Well, I come back to my original question, Matt. Are we better communicated?
Well, now I believe what we can do with a phone means that we are better able to be in
Well, you
touch.
play games and that stuff, yeah. Well, that's terrific. But I'm talking about the phone. The idea of having a phone when Alexander Graham Bell said, "Come in here, I want you to hear this," to his assistant, was to communicate,
Was to talk.
Yeah. And for Alexander Graham Bell, it was just outside the door. He had his assistant around the corner, which was pretty easy.
Yep.
Are we better at communicating or using this system now for communication?
Yeah, I think we are, and I think what we can do, and it gives us more flexibility. So if you prefer to send text messages, great. You couldn't do that on the original LAMP system. If you prefer to send an email or messenger or social media, you can do that, and every now and again, you can still pick up the phone and talk on it. And that seems to be the minimal use of a phone now, believe it or not, actually talking on it. And it depends what generation you're from.
Minimal, is it?
Minimal, absolutely. All the phone plans and carriers now basically offer unlimited talk time on just about every plan they've got.
Because it's cheap.
Well, it's cheap, but that's not what it's about. It's about data now. So everyone's trying to work out how much data they need to do all the things they do. So in terms of being able to communicate, I mean, when I see grandmothers come in and they're doing FaceTime calls with their grandkids, watching them at school, or in COVID in particular, yeah, so that sort of communication. I mean, the old Dick Tracy thing where you can have a watch. I mean, having a watch so you communicate. And I remember my mum.
We thought that was a dream.
That's right. And my mum, I showed mum that. I rang my daughter from my watch and she had her watch. And we had this watch-to-watch conversation, and my mum was just blown away. Just couldn't believe it.
When I got my first flip mobile, I dug a hole in my sole of my shoe and I used it like Max.
Maxwell Smart.
Because it looked cool.
He was way ahead of his time, wasn't he?
But they were, you know, these, you mentioned the phone, Dick Tracy. How old's that, 1940s?
1940s, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there were some real visionaries, even Richie Rich comics. I used to read those and see the phone, the FaceTime phone, or it wasn't called FaceTime in Richie Rich comics, but video calls. So again, we thought, oh yeah, sure, one day. But now you can pick up your phone, you can have multiple phone conversations from your phone. You can ring 3 or 4 other people and have a chat with them.
Still hasn't caught up with my smart TV though. It can't split screen on my mobile.
Well, there are some mobiles that you can do picture-in-picture now.
Can you?
So yeah. So some of the newest phones that have come out allow you to do picture-in-picture.
So I could talk to 2 and see 2 faces?
Oh, sorry, picture-in-picture for showing things, but if you want to do FaceTime, you can do FaceTime now with multiple people.
On the same phone?
On the same call,
Yeah.
on the same phone, the same call.
That's good.
Yeah. So, and as the person talking at the other end, their face will enlarge and the other ones will shrink down.
Can those faces see each other?
Yeah, so you can have all of those. If we're all sitting there, all talking on a call with 4 or 5 of us there, then they can all see each other.
Where's it going to go, Matty?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the absolute billion-dollar question. If you can pick where it's going, then you're working for
Then you
Samsung
become
or an
Jeff
Apple.
Bezos, won't you?
Exactly right. Yeah. So that's the real issue, because you've got to come up with a killer feature to be able to sell the next model.
So
Isn't
what's selling phones these days then?
What sells?
It seems that everyone, all telcos have got the same thing.
The telcos have.
Yeah, they seem to come up and say, oh, we're thinner, or we're bigger, or we're brighter, or we've got more pixels and all that stuff. So, so who can get ahead of the pack?
So 2 steps there, sorry. The telcos are all offering the same service. Obviously, reception is a big killer or the big feature for those, and 5G.
And whatnot.
But the actual manufacturers, it's all at the moment, it's all about video and photo. So the ones that are developing the best cameras, the best ability to take photos, or the best videos. So it's not just about 4K video, it's about 8K video. It's about how many frames per second. So it's become a camera and a video, a camcorder, if you like. And, oh, wait up, there's a phone that's attached to it as well. So the main focus seems to be, you want the best phone, you want the best camera is where you're focused on. So that's the killer feature at the moment. That's why people are upgrading their phones, because they want that better camera, more storage for their phone.
Jump ahead 20 years, we won't have a handheld gadget, will we?
What I'm dreaming of, Richard, is I used to love the days before smartphones came out where the phones were getting smaller and smaller. I used to have a little Nokia that would go into my coin pocket in my jeans. Loved it, tiny little phone. Now they're getting bigger and bigger. Every new model that comes out gets bigger. So what I'm dreaming of is a phone that's small. Take your wristwatch, for example, something as small as that. But when I use it, it's as big as a tablet. So I just want something that magically transforms into something that's huge, so I can see it easier. Getting old, the old eyesight starts to go a bit, but then I don't have to lug this big thing around with me, so I want it to go back into my wristwatch. So can you do something like that for me?
You open it and it becomes big, and you close it and it becomes little.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Now, there are some flip phones that are out now. Samsung famously released one.
I still got my flip phone.
Well, the flip phones now have got folding screens. So Samsung released one last year, which didn't go that well, but it's a small screen on the front. You open it up, it's a bigger screen inside. But I want something that does that at a bigger level. So it folds down to be smaller and then opens up to be larger.
So that's the challenge.
That's what I'd like, yeah. So
But I reckon it'll all come on in the size of a diamond on your ring.
Well, it's getting that stage where, but see, the problem is you still need to see it. And even my watch, I can do lots of things on my watch, but I've got to squint too hard to see things on my watch. So I still like the phone to be able to do some things on, but it is handy to have things on your watch to be able to do. You can answer a text message on there, you can talk to it. So having that sort of ability to talk rather than have to actually type or write things on there, that's certainly something that's progressing quite well at the moment.
So that's what the phone manufacturers will be looking at now, the next step
Oh, absolutely.
to get market.
Yeah, they're not looking at next year's model. They're looking at the model that'll be released in 2025 because it takes years of development. They know what next year's model is going to look like right now.
Yeah, 30 years from now.
30 years from now, it's a pretty scary concept, isn't it? Who knows? Implanted in our brain? I don't think so. I think some people like to go to that level, but I still think we'll have something physical. Just what it will do, that's the scary part. I suppose the other thing that's really important is if we can get to that ability to have ubiquitous connection. We like to have the idea of a connection in lots of places, but it's still not everywhere. And once you've got it ubiquitous, once it's everywhere, then the manufacturers know they've got that ability to always be connected to somewhere external, so they can do more external and that faster speed. So forget about storage of your videos and your photos on your phone. They should just all be stored out there somewhere, and your phone is just a window to those.
Thank you, Mathew Dickerson.
Thanks, Richard.
On 2DU Breakfast, it's Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk with Mathew Dickerson.
Supporting 52% of New South Wales, Catholic Care Wilcannia Forbes is here to help.